Greetings from Kenwell. Today is Monday, May 15th, 2023. I have to tell you, it's been an exciting 2 weeks for Darlene and myself. On May 4th, we went to Niagara Falls to celebrate my upcoming birthday with tickets for Herman's Hermits that Darlene gave me for my birthday. Then on May 11th, we stayed overnight on Niagara-on-the-Lake to celebrate our 45th wedding anniversary coming up on May 13th. What happened? We couldn't celebrate our birthday on the exact date because our good friend Paul asked Darlene to speak at his wife's celebration of life on May 13th. It was an honor for Darlene to do so, but definitely a different way to celebrate our wedding anniversary. Then, for Mother's Day, our kids did high tea for us with a multitude of sandwiches, scones, and of course, clotted cream with homemade blackcurrant jam that Darlene had made. It was a wonderful day filled with love toward my beloved Dar. Today, my message is entitled, Don't Mess with Moses. You know, Moses is famous for allowing God to work through him, and wow, did God ever do amazing things through him. For example, there is hardly a person on the face of the earth who does not know about the 10 Commandments that God delivered to his people through Moses. But I bet that you never knew that there might have been 15 commandments, except for an incident that happened. Take a look at it and tell me what you think.
Moses went to the mountain, and God spoke unto him.
Moses, this is the Lord thy God, commanding you to obey my law. Do you hear me?
Yes, I hear you. A deaf man could hear you.
What?
Nothing, Gonish, forget it. Oh, Lord, why have you chosen me? What would you have me do for you?
I shall give you my laws, and you shall take them unto the people.
Yes, Lord! Lord, I shall give these laws unto thy people. Hear me! Oh, hear me! All pay heed! The Lord Jehovah, has given unto you these 15... Wait. 10 commandments for all to obey.
Of course, this video clip is only in jest, and I was in no way making light of the 10 Commandments. Continuing after the commandments, the 10 Commandments, the Jews evolved these into 613 commandments that they still adhere to today. To us, it is hard to imagine 613 commandments. I bet most of the Jews would never be able to tell you anywhere near what the totality of all these commandments say. But every person of Jewish descent knows that there are indeed 613 commandments. I have a neat story to tell you about these commandments. Take a look at the picture that I have over my right. To every NFL fan, they immediately recognize that this guy is Travis Kelce of the Kansas City Chiefs. Well, when Super Bowl 54 was played between the Kansas City Chiefs and the San Francisco 49ers, Travis Kelce played an important role in this game. On Monday morning, after the game had been played, my Orthodox Jewish friend named Yossi, he came up to me and says, Ken, I knew in the fourth quarter before Kansas City took the lead that they were going to win. And he told me the reason why. I laughed. Okay, let's hear. Yossi said it was obvious that God was with the Chiefs when Travis Kelce scored with only 6 minutes and 13 seconds left in the game. He said, because as you know, Ken, there are 613 commandments for us Jews to follow. You know, the Chiefs did indeed go on to win the Super Bowl, but I don't think God could care less who won the game. God knew in advance who was going to win the game, but God is not going to direct who wins it. So I just want to have a little more fun with this. Here are some of the commandments that God gave for dogs. I think you'll find these interesting. So getting back to the 10 Commandments and Moses. Just before Moses was about to give the Sermon on the Mount, it is Moses and Elijah who appear to Jesus. Jesus on the Sermon on the Mount changes the 10 Commandments forever for the better. He takes 1500s of historical understanding of these 10 Commandments and gives a better perspective of them. Jesus reinterprets them in the light of the great commandment, which is to love God and love others. There are 5 times where Jesus introduces a thought with the phrase, "You have heard it said." Each one of these was a reference to what Moses had said. Jesus, who is God in the flesh, is showing us how we should be considering the 10 Commandments in today's world. Here are the 5. The first is found in Matthew 5:21 and 22. You have heard that it was said to the people long ago, "You shall not murder, and anyone who murders will be subject to judgment." But I tell you that anyone who is angry with a brother or sister will be subject to judgment. Again, anyone says to a brother or sister, "Raka," is answerable to the court. And anyone who says, "You fool," will be in danger of the fire of hell. And just in case you don't know what Raka means, it means someone who is empty-headed or stupid. In these verses, Jesus starts with, "You shall not commit murder," and expands on it by telling us how serious it is for Christians to be angry with our brother or sister. It is also interesting to note that just before Jesus said this, he called the Pharisees fools in Matthew 23:17. You know, Jesus did not just focus on murder, but also on the heart and attitude behind these actions. A heart full of anger towards someone can lead to insults, name-calling, and even murder. In other words, murder is not the only symptom of a corrupted heart, which is the main point Jesus made here. Just because you don't murder doesn't mean you are a good person. If you are constantly criticizing people, angry with people, and treating your fellow man or woman poorly, Jesus is telling us that we might be in the danger of experiencing the fire of hell. So basically, Jesus is saying, smarten up. The second is found in Matthew 5:27 to 28. You have heard that it was said, "You shall not commit adultery." But I tell you that anyone who looks at a woman lustfully has already committed adultery with her in his heart. Everyone knows in their heart it is wrong to commit adultery. But don't think that you are morally pure if you haven't simply committed adultery. Once again, Jesus is addressing what is in our hearts. Jesus puts the cards on the table and tells us that if we look at a woman lustfully, we have truly committed adultery. The third is found in Matthew 5:31 and 32. It has been said, anyone who divorces his wife must give her a certificate of divorce. But I tell you that anyone who divorces his wife, except for sexual immorality, makes her the victim of adultery. And anyone who marries a divorced woman commits adultery. In the times of Jesus, men were misusing the law to divorce their wives. It was so bad that all a man had to do was write up a certificate of divorce, and he had the right to send his wife packing. But Jesus tells us that if the cause of a divorce be just, the innocent party is freed from the bond of marriage so as to be at liberty to marry again. But if the divorce be made without a just cause, the marriage still subsists. And consequently, both parties, the innocent as well as the guilty, thus divorced, commit adultery if they married, as do the persons likewise whom they married. As I said earlier, we have celebrated our 45th wedding anniversary. Here are a couple of comics that I think you will greatly enjoy about marriage. When I saw these, I thought they were so very good. Now, the fourth is found in Matthew 5:33 to 37. But I tell you, do not swear an oath at all. All you need to say is simply yes or no. Anything beyond this comes from the evil one. I am sure many of you have heard, I'll swear on a stack of Bibles, or I will swear to God, etc. All Jesus wants us to do is to tell the truth and to do what you said you were going to do. Pretty simple, isn't it? The fifth is found in Matthew 5:38 to 39. You have heard that it was said, eye for eye and tooth for tooth. But I tell you, do not resist an evil person. If anyone, slaps you on the right cheek, turn to them the other cheek also. Jesus is telling us that if someone offends you or treats you badly, you are not to try and seek vengeance, but you are to show them kindness and forgiveness. And all of these things were in total contrast to what the Jews felt the law actually meant. And lastly, Jesus summed up the 10 Commandments and the 613 commandment of the Jews with this. It is found in Matthew 22:37 to 40. Jesus said, love the Lord your God with all your heart and with all your soul and with all your mind. This is the first and greatest commandment. And the second is like it. Love your neighbor as yourself. All the law and the prophets hang on these two commandments. I hope you like that. I love to say, may the good Lord be with you until we meet again.